to Wednesday's Talking Reds. My name is Mo Stewart and this is Rob Gutmann. In a world where lots of things are changing and you may not know if you're up or down, at least you know Wednesday morning, the two of us are here. And something else you know, as far as we're aware, tonight is match day. Tonight's the game that we've been looking forward to for quite some time. We get to bring Atletico Madrid to our place and see exactly if they can finish the job or we'll be able to get past them and into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Rob, the first bit I want to talk about is the big news, the captain's back.
Yeah.
Do you expect him to come straight back into the starting lineup or are you thinking this might be a bench situation?
I think Klopp will say, I think asked, he would say he would be willing to put him straight back in because he's only been out, is it 3 weeks, even less maybe? So you think he won't have lost a huge amount of fitness. I think tough times call for tough measures. I think he's got a gamble on him a bit. I mean, there's an argument to say it was a hamstring strain. Do you want to put that strain on him? You know what, if he doesn't start, he'd definitely use him. Either from a defensive point of view or an attacking point of view for the last half hour, I think.
I think so too.
So I think we'll see Jordan Henderson tonight. If you ask me to bet on it, I just think the vibes are that he will start.
I think so too. I think Klopp almost as much as said it and then remembered that he didn't want to give anything away, so he kind of walked it back a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's trained Sunday, Monday, yesterday, and I'm assuming today as well. So that's 4 full days of training. I think he will be back in. I think the psychological boost it will give to everyone. And I think it's been important that Klopp's been talking about this as a team effort, as in not just the team, but us in the stands. We're all going to have to contribute to this result. And I think having the captain back in the team from the start is a kind of lift that is going to really maybe help us get off to an electric start.
Yes, I mean, we all want the electric start. We all know what that looks like. But I think Atletico also know what it looks like and are that bit more capable of resisting it than some opponents we've faced in the past. I think the key for us, for the team and the crowd, is to remain patient. I think this is absolutely. I think we have to be prepared for it to be maybe 0-0 on 70. And know that what we use off the bench could change something. I just think to think we're going to go and do these 2 or 3-0 and reverse this. I think we could, but it might be that we have to just be patient and take the one, and then take it from there, one step at a time. I'm saying.
I think if you're trying to compare it to Barcelona, as lots of people have been,
Yeah.
there's elements that are the same in as much as they have the psychological damage of what happened to them last year. With Barcelona, it was Roma. With Atletico, they were 2-0 up going to Turin against Juventus. Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. They didn't even get a shot on target in that game. So you have the psychological element, but what they do have over Barcelona is a better set of defenders and a better defensive system that is well-versed. And we talk about the fact that we know what they're going to do. We know how they're going to set up and how they're going to do it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's unstoppable, though, does it?
No, I mean, the danger is that as fans, we're playing the myth rather than the reality. They've not been great this season. I noticed, I mean, if you go back to at the point we played them, what wasn't myth, though, was that they conceded very few goals this season. I think I spotted it was something like 17 in their 24 at that stage. But they conceded 4 in their last 3, which
haven't kept a clean sheet since.
Yeah, so yeah, they don't look as impenetrable, do they, as they have recently. Of course, this is slightly different from sort of run-of-the-mill La Liga games. They're going to be as focused as they can be. It's so much at stake here.
Yes.
They don't travel that well, do they, Atletico?
No, they really don't.
Well, I was thinking, Mo, this morning, where would you pitch them into if you were their equivalent in the Premier League? Are they as good as Chelsea, say?
I think at their best they're better than Chelsea. I just think it's hard to gauge because they haven't been there for so long. Again, you still talk about the myth or what we're actually seeing in front of us. But that's a dangerous game to play simply because if you know they've got it in them, these are the games where you expect to see it more than anything. So you kind of need to assume they're going to be at their best. And I think Klopp's kind of doing that in what he's been saying before the game. Something that you and I was talking about yesterday is the potential for a slight change. I mean, we were just saying, Simeone, he knows what they were going to do. I mean, he actually said the idea of attacking or going forward, it was a pleasant dream.
Is that what Simeone said?
Which tells you that they're probably not going to be doing loads of attacking. But so therefore we might have an advantage in being able to give them something that they weren't expecting, something that they didn't want to do. And yeah, you have a theory of how that might work.
I do. I mean, yeah, I just sort of just rolling back a bit on Simeone's tactics. I think normally a manager saying that you think, actually they do think they can sneak a goal. And maybe they do. But I was partially shocked by just how defensive they were prepared to be on their own ground once they'd got a lead. They really weren't interested.
And it was almost immediately after the lead as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they weren't interested in finding another goal really, although they had some half chances.
We kind of gave them openings and they were able to take them. It wasn't that they were able, it wasn't more that they were pressuring us to get a goal, I think.
No. So we talked yesterday and earlier about the fact that I think Klopp will want to surprise them. And it won't surprise them if we set up in our usual 4-3-3 and give it our usual European high-octane start. That won't surprise them. No. They are fully expecting that. I wonder if there's a case for, it's just a mad theory I've got, which is put Bobby Firmino on the bench. I know people already go, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, wait, it gets better.
Well, we've seen Klopp do this in a couple of games earlier in the season. What I'm going to suggest is to play basically a 4-2-2-2. So I would play Salah and Mane as a central two, or at least they would be close together. Whether they're coming from wide or not, they would arrive very centrally in the box. Behind them, I'd play two number 10s effectively. You could say, and it depends with the personnel in this how they've showed in training, but Chamberlain and Keita.
They're the natural two.
And then you'd have, say, Wijnaldum and Henderson behind them. I think one of Wijnaldum might hold and Henderson might join Trent, just to give an overload there. But I think the main part of my theory is overload in the middle.
Yes.
Overload in the middle, so that all their resources are directed into stopping our movement there and giving us that bit more space to get in behind with our fullbacks. And again, one of our centre mids, maybe augmenting them. Because I think we're going to have to be bold and not think we have to hold two number 6s or one number 6 back the entire game. We've got to get bodies forward.
It might be a change that happens later in the game, for example.
Could be.
But I mean, it sounds mad. I know it sounds mad, but there is logic to it because I think they have got the kind of 4-4-2 where the players naturally want to come narrow. I mean, you've got someone like Koke playing wide right, who essentially really is essential. He's not a chalk on the outside of the boots kind of wide player.
Yeah.
And Carrasco, who is more of that kind of player, you can almost see them kind of trying to squeeze rather than trying to shuttle left and right. And if that does happen and we've matched them for numbers in there, then that space will be there. And you've still got the potential of someone like Firmino to come off maybe later in the game when they're a bit tired and kind of make all kinds of mischief with them there. So yeah, I mean... I'm picking it as my double 10s, Keita and Chamberlain, but there's a case for he could reinterpret how he plays Firmino. It's not it's a fairly short jump between his false 9 and being number 10. Too.
And there's Minamino too. So you could look at it that way. I've just got this... I think we're going to have to pick it like a lock, that defence. So I think the more players you have who can do that, in working in those tight spaces, the more chance you've got. The other thing is, if you can draw, as you said, all their resources into the middle, and you can have the space to put quality in from Robertson and Trent, you've got a shitload of bodies in there. Something must fall to us eventually. The other thing I think, Mo, is I think we have to do a lot better on set pieces. They were prepared to let us have set pieces, I noticed. So we certainly created an enormous amount of corner opportunities, didn't we, in Madrid? Am I right in saying that? I think we did.
And our record of those is normally good.
Normally good, but I think it felt to me like they were ready for our set piece routines. So I think we've got to be better. I'd like us to play a bit shorter. We seem to endlessly play it. When I say shorter, I mean to a man rather than near post corners. Okay. We seem to be playing near post corners, which were getting dealt with. I think I saw us do a routine. Was it the weekend Bournemouth where somebody put it? I think Trent put it into Mane's feet early on, played it back, and it was just a bit of variation that I was pleased to see.
Yeah, and it allows people to kind of reset the offside lines and maybe sneak in around the side and stuff. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. These have been our theories so far on what's going to happen tonight. Let's hear some more theories. There's a little clip from the preview show recorded earlier today.
Phil, I mean, it still wasn't like amazing, was it, at the weekend? Let's be honest. It was better and we won, and that was the main thing, of course. But I think a lot of us wanted like some kind of swashbuckling Brazil 1970 type performance, so that we were like, okay, ready for Atletico now. We didn't get that, but we won. I mean, what are your general thoughts on like how we're playing and how ready we are for this game as a team?
It's not as good as it has been, is it? Let's be perfectly honest. It's Also, I think it's a little bit of this dip has been overestimated to an extent, because when you actually break down the defeats, one of them was away at Chelsea in the FA Cup, where they've basically played the same team yesterday and beat Everton 4-0.
Yeah.
So when you actually break that down, is that really quite as bad as you might have thought at the time, when you consider that we made a lot of changes, we lose 2-0, it's a poor goalkeeper mistake for the first, and to be honest, it was the first poor mistake for us to get in the position where the goalkeeper was even called upon in the first place. So is that as bad as you thought it was at the time? And it's probably not when you watch the Everton game yesterday. Atletico Madrid, we go 1-0 down to a scrappy corner.
Yeah.
They had four men in the box at a corner and somehow managed to score. It's unfortunate, and then it sets the rest of the game up when you lose and you're obviously like, not great. So there's only really, I think, one game where you can go, I'll tell you what, that's not great, and that was Watford. So it's all right. We've definitely not been playing as well, but I think it's sort of, the crisis talk, etc., is a little bit overplayed, to be honest. But we would need to go through tomorrow. Wednesday, we'll need to improve.
Yeah.
Thanks to the boys there. So, we kind of have to talk about the virus. I'm afraid we do. It might be something that you might think is not really important, or maybe it doesn't really affect us, but it has now affected Liverpool Football Club. Not only in the postponement of Manchester City against Arsenal, which changes some of the title permutations, but there's also the potential for the Atletico fans who are travelling over tonight. I mean, we've all been hearing that Madrid is one of the got the largest percentage of Spanish coronavirus cases. So there's that to bring into it as well.
Madrid has?
Yes.
Oh, terrific. I was there, though, there.
And just in general, we're getting closer to the stage now where all of our thoughts before, where it's like, oh, well, it's like going to be okay. It's now harder and harder to make that case. You're getting closer and closer to behind closed doors games, or even a postponement of the whole football calendar for up to 2-3 months or whatever. Now, bearing in mind, it's hard for us to kind of make hard, fast opinions in this because it's such a constantly moving story.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was your gut instinct if you were given the option of finishing the season entirely behind closed doors and putting it back 2 months?
Sheesh, that's a difficult question. I mean, the entire season behind closed doors feels like that'd be too much to bear. I think I'd rather see deferment than that. I mean, deferment by 2 months, so that would mean we'd have to jib the Euros, wouldn't it, more or less?
It would change the international calendar and everything.
That wouldn't personally be a problem for me. I don't care about it that much. I only care about it in the context of there being no other football on at that time. So if it goes, it goes. I wonder if we might do a couple of weeks of it. The weird thing is there's a strange mix, without drilling into this whole subject of the psychological, the social, the economic, regardless almost of the actual best medical course of action. So there's part of me that wonders whether there might need to be a symbolic hiatus of a couple of weeks, which is inevitable, rather than a wholesale 2 or 3 month postponement, unless events really take tumble. But it feels at the pace it's at, that I could see there just being a lockdown for if it's going to be 2 weeks. If it's a lockdown for 2 weeks, I think they'd rather extend the season by 2 to 3 weeks than go into the behind closed doors thing. And to that end, I think we're getting close to that point.
Yeah.
And I'd say, from where I'm looking now, is the derby going to be played or go ahead with a full crowd? I'd feel like there's only 50-60% of that at the moment, if I'm guessing.
It's tough because obviously from a Liverpool perspective, we just want to get over the line as quick as possible. We want to eliminate the chance of anything bad happening to the result of this season for future reference and all of that kind of stuff that will have all our opponents' fans cheering. But the reality is like, are we, by kind of trying to muddle and make through for this little bit, actually extending the period where we're going to be affected in totality? Is it not, again, the case of a short-term pain for a longer-term gain?
I think we have to chill a little bit about this. Firstly, in all seriousness, this is bigger than our ambition.
Yeah, no, it is.
I know you agree.
We're not experts on this.
We're not experts. It's all big. I have to say, and to take it back to the sort of glib of our sporting ambitions here, I feel it's a little bit like this is a fine meal I want to savour now it's here, us winning the league, and I don't want to rush it. if we have to wait for the main course for another hour while the kitchen sorts itself out, to use a shitty metaphor here about a very serious subject, I kind of instinctively feel that way.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think when you're in, to continue that, when you're in the restaurant and you know it's going to be good, you don't mind the wait.
No. So therefore, the playing behind closed doors thing, I think I'd rather postpone. Although I'm terribly impatient. If you told me the morning of it, the match tonight was going to be behind closed doors or postponed, I think I'd go behind closed doors. Don't care. Want to see football. Need to see football. So when push came to shove, I think I'd find it difficult. With a bit of a distance, I think I'm veering towards let's just postpone.
To be honest, I mean, there is actual almost perfect scenario. Oh well, I say almost perfect as can be kind of scenario whereby Liverpool do still win the league against Crystal Palace, and then the 2-week isolation starts.
So we have the party of
We have no obligations other than to just celebrate.
And the players go on the piss for 2 weeks and then they never win another game. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool, though, I've got to say.
I actually saw a season where that happened, all but literally. And I think if they confessed, you know, the lads from that time would say it did. Bob Paisley's last season, 82-83, they stormed to the title. And we played Norwich at Anfield, just needing to win. Norwich were about to be relegated, I think. And it must have been 7, maybe even, I'd say 7 games from the end of the season. And the players just so went off the boil. They lost that game. It was equivalent to the Palace one in 2 weeks.
Oh, God.
Everyone turned up full of expectation. We just lost 2-0 to this crappy team. And then we went, it's okay, we'll win the next one. We didn't win another game. We got over the line.
Because other people dropped points?
Yeah, because they were so far behind. In fact, we finally won the league with about 4 to go by losing 2-0 at White Hart Lane because Man United had drawn a game. And, you know, but honestly, it was weird how so close to the end the motivation went. Now, okay, I think players are more professional now, whereas there, I think the party started early.
I mean, they're also probably a little bit more blasé about winning the league than we are now. I think it's fair to say. It was kind of a little bit more of our thing back then.
Yeah.
So, but however it happens, let's just hope that everyone is able to stay as safe as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that is the most important thing. We will deal with football however we get it. But just keep an eye on the news because, as I said, this story is changing rapidly at every point. But tonight, I think we are still going to have a game tonight. I think, as I've mentioned before, the atmosphere is going to be a key part of the game. I'm not going to be there. You are going to be there.
Yeah.
How drunk are you planning to get before the game?
I'm actually still nursing a hangover from yesterday.
That's why I asked you.
I was with you. So at the moment, drinking any booze feels a far cry, but I think we all owe it to Klopp and the boys to be singing our hearts out, and that's always fueled by a bevy or two.
Yeah, I mean, there are other ways.
There are
of getting
natural exuberance.
Yeah, and
energy drinks.
I think as well, there's something to it. I mean, when I was at Bournemouth, I was conscious of the fact this might be the last time I'm here for a while. So So I want to make the most of it. So there's going to be that element to the game tonight as well. If we are all fearing we're going to get into the behind closed door scenario, this might be your last chance to see this fantastic team for a few weeks. So get out there and give them your all.
It's a very strange game, Matt. If you just even park this weird context, surreal context of the coronavirus from it and all those issues, it's a massive game in a season where it shouldn't be that massive because the main event is the main objective is all but completed. This should just be a glorious bonus. I think the thing is, I'll use my meal metaphor again.
You're just hungry, aren't you?
I'm still very hungry. But it's almost as if, well, once we've got the main course, we want a dessert to savour as well. And the trouble is if we go out tonight and we do well against Palace and Everton, the season is done and dusted. Possibly too early for our tastes. Of course, when we reflect on it, when we pass the danger that surrounds all of us at the moment with the virus, I think we might go, this isn't an issue. But there is a part of us that feels like the season needs the postscript of going deep in the Champions League.
I think so. And I mean, you look at the teams who got through last night, Atalanta and Leipzig, 2 teams in fantastic form, but 2 teams who are still new to it, debutants in the knockout stages.
This year's Ajax, maybe.
So, I mean, there may well be a path back to Istanbul for the Reds, and it may well start tonight. So, as I said before, we need all of you out there to be giving your all, giving it everything you've got in the stands, just as the boys on the pitch will be giving it everything they've got. We've got some other stuff happening here at the Anfield Wrap, as always. I'm sure those are now floating along the screen because I didn't bother to remember them before we started the show. So you will have to find out through other means.
Not a pro.
I know. I mean, but I'm not afraid.
I'm not judging you.
Hey, you guys, you know us by now. I think I can feel like I can be honest with you about those things. And I also know that Ash is very good at his job and he'll make sure he covers for all of my mistakes.
Yeah,
I think we can wrap up now.
I think we should.
Yeah, before I lose all my reputation. So as I say, big game tonight. Don't worry about the virus. We're going to get the job done.